The seeker. Beryl, is there someone here who can teach me about crystal work? What do you mean? She asked. Well, I read somewhere that the crystal is a garden, or inside is a garden, and I wondered if there was more to working with crystals. She laughed and smiled at the thought. I don't think that anyone knows all there is to know about crystals. Let me introduce you to some of the crystal masters in the village. I have a meeting right now, but I'll set it up and come find you. Okay, thanks, Beryl. Bye. See you later. Beryl waved as she went back into the civic building. I left the civic area and took a long walk through the village. I still had a lot of unanswered questions. What do people do here during the day? I barked out loud. We work on bettering ourselves. I spun around to see an old woman leaning against a flowering cherry tree. She had wrinkled skin and red-rimmed glasses, but her robe was made of something gorgeously iridescent, like crushed pearls. But how does that happen here? My arms swept out to gesture at all of the landscape. Is it just crystal power? Please tell me. The iridescent robe shook from side to side as she laughed. You can tell yourself. You are a blue leader, a balancer. People go wherever you are so they can gain peace of mind, and you are asking me to teach you? She laughed even harder then at the thought. Guess I didn't think of it like that. Maybe you could just tell me what you know about crystals? Her laughter calmed a little as she raised herself up. I am the crystal hunter. I am the teacher that answers the call of the pupil. Since you have asked for knowledge, I will teach you. Come with me. She pivoted past me and I followed. We wound down and up a small path toward the base of the mountains. I wasn't sure that talking was a good idea, but she didn't say no, so I began. Where are you taking me? The old woman turned to face me. I'm Agatha. It means the jewel within the stone. I'm taking you to talk to the mountain about your request. Our mother lives in the mountains, and she decides who needs the crystal knowledge and who doesn't. If you qualify, you will be selected. She resumed walking. My face scrunched into a concentrated frown, mulling over her words as I walked. How does the mountain determine if I'm eligible or not? I don't understand. Agatha turned around and looked into my eyes for a moment. Are you interested in learning about crystals or not? Agatha's stare was intense as she eyed my integrity. I certainly am. My response was loud, nervous. Who is this woman? Agatha turned around and resumed walking. Then follow me. Her words had power. They pulled me forward with the strength of a leash attached at my waist. She headed behind the large civic building through the apple and cherry trees in full bloom with the spongy soft carpet of green underneath and onto a pebbled path that led to a well-manicured garden. Keep up! Agatha wasn't going to stop for sightseeing. We have to hurry if we're going to make it in time. I jogged a bit to catch up. In time for what, Agatha? No time to explain. The garden path turned rocky, and soon we were climbing boulders. I was hard-pressed to keep up with Agatha. I took a mini break and watched her scale the rocks like a mountain goat. My turn. Agatha, slow down. Aren't you like 70 or 80? My mind was on the chatter, trying to figure out how this old lady was so nimble on the rocks. She raised herself up a narrow shelf and spun around to face me. I'm not a mystery novelist. It's Agatha, long A in the middle. I've been climbing these rocks all my life. I'm a bit rusty and slow. Got it. You think you're slow. I was shocked by her description. Slow. I mouthed it again to myself. We're almost at the Cave of Telling. I was a full level down, trying to catch my breath. Are you okay? I forgot that rock hiking isn't a natural activity for other people. Thanks for asking. I'm fine, but just not as nimble as you are. She smiled at the complaint. After we clear the next boulder, there are stairs that will deliver us to the mouth of the cave we seek. Wonderful! I'd have jumped for joy if it wasn't on a cliff face. Finally, Agatha and I arrived at a suspicious plateau at the top of some old granite staircase. We are higher than I expected, but the view of Crystal Village was breathtaking. It was so green and everything shimmered in the afternoon sun. Come along, don't dawdle. I followed Agatha into an opening in the rock and sat behind a huge boulder. Inside, the cave was blindingly bright. There were large crystals jutting from the walls and rubies and emeralds in between. The white calcite gave the cave its color. The reflection on the white floor bounced all around, making everything glow. How is this possible? I was astounded. I walked around, looking at the walls and the ceiling as I would in a museum. The grace of nature, Agatha smiled. She seemed profoundly happy that I found beauty in the cave. Okay, now please take your place in the center of the cave floor. Sure. Just show me where it is and I'll stand there. I'm not allowed to show you anything. This is the Cave of Telling, and you will need to make your own way. Agatha was stern and direct. I looked at the ceiling and took a guess at where the center might be located on the floor. Not far from where I guessed was a very small red dot, about as wide as my thumb. Oh, is that it? That must be it. The center. Okay, I'm standing on it, Agatha. Now what? Very good. Now you need to ask your pressing question out loud. I closed my eyes and searched my mind for the question that needed forming. Will you please teach me about the beauty and wonders of crystals? Agatha began to walk in a wide circle around me. Very good question. Now listen for answers. Answers? More than one? How can... Shh! Be silent and listen. I didn't dare say anything else. I took a closer look around the cave walls and their stunning beauty before closing my eyes. I concentrated strongly on what I saw and what I felt. Prickles of electric air made my hair stand on end. It was like the rock cave was alive, not biologically alive, but alive all the same. I asked my question again. Will you please teach me about the beauty and wonders of crystals? Sit, dear one, and listen to the ancient voices if you can. The cave's voice was ominous. I lowered myself down to the floor and took a deep breath. There are many types of crystals. The separate voices started to sound as one, but with different pitches, like harmony. There are many types of different crystals, 4-sided, 6-sided, 8-sided, each a treasure. They are family to the earth, petrified elements to you. We see your light. You are a sparkling blue like the waters in the sea. So we will introduce you to the six-sided crystal family of water. My face would have given away my astonishment if there was anyone to witness it. I looked up at Agatha, but she was seated comfortably in prayer meditation. The voices in the cave continued to explain. Visualize a clear crystal in your mind. Do you have it? I nodded. Do you see the cracks in the crystal? I nodded again. And the rainbow colors? Yes, I do. It sounded like I was talking to nothing. The rainbows of colors can show you the clarity of your chakra centers. When you lose your way and your chakra color fades or darkens, look into the crystal to find your way back to purity. What do you feel when you think of the rainbows in the crystals? I thought about the question for a while. I think of the world within it, and I wonder about the splendid gardens it has hidden inside. Excellent! The cave boomed. You have seen inside the crystal before. Tell me more. I sat up as straight as I could and took a cleansing breath. I was taught that there is a door to every crystal. Once you find it, you may walk inside, and inside is a world, a crystal world that can be lived in if one wishes it. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a movement and realized that Agatha had stood up. She crossed over to the far wall and came back with something in her hand. This is for you to wear. You have passed. The Cave of Telling has granted me permission to teach you what I know. Agatha handed me a beautiful aquamarine necklace that I quickly put on. You are my apprentice now. Thank you, Agatha. Wait before you thank me. You must agree to an oath. Oh, all right. She walked in a wide circle around the center of the cave. Her voice echoed and boomed in a tone uncommon for someone her age. As my apprentice, you must agree to store your power. You may use this power for calling in people of the dark forest, for meditation, and for growing plants, but you must not use this power for healing or communion with others. But Agatha, I am to be married at the end of the month. My eyes pleaded with Agatha, but I saw no emotion in hers. This is the agreement you must choose to make as my apprentice. I do not ask it of you lightly. Crystal work is very, very powerful and arduous. I cannot waste my time with someone who is only half committed. Return tomorrow to the garden where we met and give me your answer. I nodded. Yes, Agatha. Excellent. I will show you out. With the skill of a dancer, she bounced down the stairway, gliding over the stairs as if they were invisible. Wait, Agatha! She stopped and waited for me to catch up. It is my stored power that allows me to move like a much younger person. She flipped around and floated down another stairway. Soon we reached the bottom and made our way to the front of the civic building. See you tomorrow. Agatha waved her goodbyes. Yes, I'll see you tomorrow, Agatha. I waved back. Slowly, I made my way back home. How am I going to break this to Cameron? How are you going to break what to me? Oh, gosh, I didn't see you there. I have some news, but I don't know how you're going to take it. My face had that worried look. My shoulders were up to my ears. I was really nervous. I hated to let him down. He was such a kind and loving partner. This morning, after I left you, I met an old woman in the garden of the Civic Building. Yes, go on. I was muttering something about what people do here for fun, and I'm not sure how, but I somehow asked her to teach me about crystals. She took me to this cave, and she took you to the cave of telling? Yeah, she did. Did you pass? I did, but how? So she's going to teach you about crystals? Yes. As a matter of fact, she is. Yes, I'm to let her know if I agree to being her apprentice tomorrow. Cameron walked over to give me a big hug. That's awesome. Wow. I've heard about that old woman at the Cave of Telling since I arrived. I stepped back from Cameron. Wait, there's more I have to say. Cameron assumed his Superman stance with hands on hips. Okay, what is it? I took a deep breath. In order to be her apprentice, I must agree to reserve my power. While there are several things I can still use my power for, healing and communion with others are not on the list. In fact, she specifically outlawed them. Cameron threw his head back and laughed hard. Well, that's going to be a bitch for you then, isn't it? I looked at him perplexed. What? Cameron was still laughing. You love communing with me. But I will support you no matter what. Don't worry, we share too much anyway. I was shocked. Whew. Well, that's a relief. So you don't mind that our wedding will need to be postponed and I might need to live in other quarters for a while? Now it was Cameron's turn to be perplexed. He sobered up. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. No wonder you were looking so worried. I nodded. My head sort of bobbled around while I walked over to a chair to sit and process what I was saying. Cameron stroked my hair. No worries, my love. This is a really big and special opportunity. We love each other. Beryl will help with postponing our marriage vows and ceremony while you go study. Agatha hasn't had an apprentice in years. You must have really charmed her. Cameron sat down next to me. You still look worried. I took his hand. I am worried, Cameron. What if this apprenticeship goes on longer than you want it to? Cameron reached over to embrace me. He held my face and gently kissed me. Talk to Agatha and ask her. Ask her how long she intends to spend teaching you. See if 2 years is enough. My eyes started to well up. 2 years? 2 years without you, my husband? 2 more years alone? Cameron took my shoulders in his hands. Listen, I have work to do too. I also need practice running my microcosmic orbit alone. And then there's teaching about it. I would like to see where it takes me, but I'm not using it for communing. There may be much more to learn about it, and 2 years is a good amount of time to explore a new meditation. I stepped back to get a good look at his face. What exactly are you saying? I'm saying that I think your work and my work can align in a different way. I'm saying that I think your work will likely require you to be celibate. And I'm saying that I think I would like to also be celibate and dive further into working on spinning the microcosmic orbit. Oh, Cameron, thank you for that. It's exactly what I needed to hear. I feel like a huge weight just left my heart. Cameron pulled me into a hug and whispered, You don't need to be alone in this. We are strong, powerful, independent people, whether we are together or apart. No matter what, we are still a couple. What about the wedding, Cameron? It will be more glorious in 2 years when we wed. I will be an orbit master, and you will be a crystal master. We laughed at the idea that anyone could master anything in such a short time. It could happen. You never know what Spirit has in mind for this lifetime, said Cameron. You're amazing. I kissed him and hugged him hard. Tomorrow was too soon. Cameron, what if she says something more like, we'll see, or it depends? Cameron started laughing again. I love you. Yes, she may do all of those things, but you can ask to have another day to consider it all. Even if she says no, say yes. It's a chance of a lifetime. And the last thing I would ever want is for either of us to get in the way of each other's spiritual growth. Agreed? I was totally crying now. Agreed. That's beautiful, Cameron. Thank you. We got up and puttered around like an old couple. Once we had thought we'd shared other lifetimes. This was proof. We sat down at the kitchen table with a lovely breakfast that neither of us needed. But we needed something. Some type of old ritual to guard us safe on our new travels apart. There were too many questions to try to answer. Instead, we found a way to just be together in the silence and beauty of our mountainside home. The time to leave and say our goodbyes came, and we solemnly followed through. It was all too familiar. A death, a breakup, or some other sorrowful parting of duty. Yes, this was also duty. We hugged each other tight. He held the door for me, and I walked through the portal and stepped onto the path of my new life apart from Cameron. I looked down and concentrated on putting one foot in front of the other. I could feel tears streaming down my cheeks, and the path became a blur of dark greens and browns. But my feet continued onward, taking me to my destination. It wasn't far, and it wasn't long before I was at the grassy park outside the civic building. I rounded the corner, and there, on the bench, just where I met her before, was my new teacher, Agatha. Oh, my dear, I see you have already had a rough journey today. Come and sit beside me and rest a moment. I sat down on the bench and started crying in earnest. But it didn't last long. Soon my eyes were dry and my heart felt light. I took in a deep breath, filling my senses with the scent of spring flowers, and turned to face Agatha. I feel better now. I'm ready to start our work together. You don't know how happy I am to hear that. She patted my arm. I know that you and Cameron had a wedding coming up. What happened with that? We postponed it. We thought we might get married later if the time frame works out for both of us. Agatha smiled at me knowingly. Your time with me depends entirely upon you, what you want, and how you learn. It is the commitment that is important, not the time. And as you know, there's no time in this ancient forest. Agatha got up from the bench and led the way toward another mountain path. Be careful. This path has sharp rocks along it that will easily cut your leg. Oh, okay. It was just what I needed. a beautiful distraction. We strolled through the grassy meadows and knolls and past small babbling brooks of clear water. There were gorgeous mountain flowers in every color: red, blue, orange, white, pink, and yellow. Oh, and the bees were everywhere, bouncing from flower to flower. Songbirds and hummingbirds whistled tunes of sunny days and flowering trees. It wasn't long before the path became rocky. We scaled up and up, focusing on the path underfoot. Agatha stopped us to point out the crystal valley below. "Watch where you step. We're so high up." "Are we at the snow line?" I asked. "Oh, heavens no. But we are almost 1,000 feet above the town. If we continue on this path, there's a sweet little wooden cabin that's a wonderful getaway. But it's at the snow line, so it's much further up." "Where are we going, Agatha?" "We're almost there. You'll see for yourself soon." I trudged along up more craggy mountain boulders. It was treacherous, and some part of me wondered if she'd ever lost a student. Then, out of nowhere, our path narrowed down to something only a goat would take. I watched Agatha squirrel herself around a very large rock blocking the way and tried to follow. "Agatha, how did you get around this rock without falling to your death?" "You can do it, my dear. Look up at me from where you stand and you will see it's just a straight line." I backed away from the edge and did as my teacher told me to do. Maybe this is a test, I thought. "Okay, now drop down on one knee and look at the path I'm standing on." I followed Agatha's directions to the T. "Do you see an imaginary line between you and the path?" I looked hard, focusing my foot. I raised my head slowly, letting my eyes lead until I saw it. There was a miniature valley, a crack really, just wide enough to place my feet. And when my eye looked directly above that crack, there was another crease in the jutting, craggy rock that resembled a handhold. I looked back down at the miniature valley and followed that crack directly forward to where Agatha was standing. "I see it, Agatha. I see it right there. And there's a handhold, too." "Yes. Now here's the thing. Your instincts will tell you to go at it slowly. But if you can master your body, tell it to do it in one." I took a deep breath. "All together now." I repeated my mantra, practiced my movement, took another deep breath, reached out for the handholds and foot placement, swung my body around and touched down on the opposite side. I spun around the rock face and threw out my arms against it to stop the rotation. I kept my eyes on Agatha, got my bearings, and continued on behind her. "Nicely done. It's only a little farther now." Agatha went about 50 steps and abruptly turned right. I walked toward the opening. Agatha reappeared out of a large sparkling opening in the rock face. "There are no creatures inside. Before we go in, it's customary to offer a prayer of thanks." Agatha led. "Oh, great and beautiful rock people, thank you so much for your kindness and safe passage. Great Spirit, Mother Earth, the powers of the north, south, east, and west, and animals of both 4 and 2 legs, and the swimmers and the flyers, thank you for allowing us this time for teaching. May the love of all be our guiding light." Agatha left some flowers that I recognized to be from the valley. I reached into my pockets and placed a pine cone next to Agatha's offering, said my own thank yous for being alive and followed her inside. I waited at the mouth to let my eyes adjust. The entrance was beautiful, with sparkling crystals jutting from the walls. But inside, I was surprised to find it quite plain. Agatha motioned for me to follow. This cave has many chambers. The first one is our entry. This next one is more of a living space. She rounded the corner to the left into a chamber of red rubies and crystals. In some places the walls were thin and red light shone into the room. Come on, there's more. There's a bedroom, a bathroom, and a kitchen. Agatha, are you joking with me? A kitchen and a bath? I chuckled, but I stopped cold when I saw the kitchen. There were exposed boulder edges that served as counter space and seating. I carved out some seats a long time ago and brought in what utensils and cooking items I needed. Is this your home, Agatha? No, it's my training space. I've been coming here for decades. My teacher brought me here first, but I've added some more feminine touches since then. Now this will be your training space. You may live here as you need to learn what you must and practice what you can. These caves are like living in a crystal palace, and they help greatly while you are learning the properties of crystals. Thank you, Agatha. I am honored. She smiled at me and flashed me a large, toothy grin. Let's finish our tour, shall we? Here's the cooking section. We went into a small alcove off the kitchen area. I piped in heat from a geothermal source outside. You lift the lid for the heat. It smells like sulfur, so I added some holes in the rock for ventilation. It's smelly, but effective. Let's go see the bathroom. I backed out of the space. We went into a large chamber that opened off the kitchen and then made a sharp left. That's the bedroom, and this is the bathroom. She swept outward in accomplishment. This is the inlet for fresh water. It works the same as the one in the kitchen. And this is the inlet for boiling hot water. I diverted a small stream further up the mountain face before it ran into a geothermal streamer for cold water, and the hot water is like the kitchen. But you have to be very respectful or you'll get burnt. Then she spun around and sat inside what looked like a teacup for giants. This is our bathtub. It's Japanese-style bathing. Wash first and then get in the tub. Don't worry about the water. It comes from a spring that never stops. Oh, I almost forgot about the toilet. She lifted a large lid to reveal 2 open holes to the rocky mountainside. This one on the left is number 2, and this one on the right is number 1. Don't mix them up. I bring a supply of soil here every so often to help with composting the crap. The urine washes down the rock face and evaporates. When urine and feces mix, that's when you get an unbearable smell, so don't mix them up. Agatha patted my arm and went into the bedroom. Like the living room, there were large sections where the thinning wall allowed for more light. It doesn't look like you brought camping gear, so we'll have to go for firewood and hay and make you a bed. We're going all the way back down the mountain? I said with a shrill. No, I wouldn't suggest we do that. It's very far and dangerous, as you witnessed. I ran my fingers through my curls. Well, that's a relief. How are we going to get those things you mentioned? There's a beautiful valley not far from here, located just under the snow line. The trees are deciduous, and the plants are lush. There's also a lovely mountain brook running through it. It's a true paradise. She nodded. Oh, it sounds lovely, Agatha. How do we get there? I surveyed the cave, half expecting to find a back door to a garden. But there was nothing. I'll show you a shortcut. I followed Agatha out to the main room. Near the entrance, on the left, were some small shelves carved into the rock. At least that's what they looked like until she placed her foot on one and started climbing. Agatha, what are you doing? She was laughing, her small, knowing laugh. Come on, just follow me. I watched her for a bit. The footholds followed the natural arc of the cave's entrance, and her hands naturally rested on the rock. She sort of leaned into the rock face. And looking closer at the footholds, they seemed pretty deep. Okay, here I come. I swooped in a deep breath of fresh mountain air and looked up ahead toward the many ladder holes in the rock. I don't know what I was worried about. This was as simple as climbing a ladder. The footholds zigzagged up the rock, making it easy to balance, and in no time I was at the top, which was oddly the bottom. The ladder placed us downhill from a beautiful green, lush valley. The source of the water for the cave wasn't far. Come on, there's much to show you. All of your supplies will come from this valley. Supplies? Agatha stopped to look at me. Yes, you will need supplies for toileting, washing, warmth, bedding, sitting, and food. This beautiful Shangri-La will provide everything so long as you know what to look for. And you'll need to forage your supplies for winter too. If you get stuck in the cold mountain weather, you'll need a larder full in order to survive. Oh, I'm sorry, Agatha, I didn't know. How could you? That's why I'm here. Now be a good apprentice and watch carefully. You need to commit everything today to memory. Calling me her apprentice surprised me, but it felt good and reassuring to hear. I'm ready, Agatha.